One of you got at me on Twitter and just asked, JD, how is this Nebraska defense going to look in the 3-3-5 format? I want to break this down because the question is very, very valid. Last year, Nebraska stopping the run, they weren't great. Allowed 190 rush yards per game. You and I both know this. It's not winning football, especially in the Big Ten. And that was the other part of the question. How is this 3-3-5 defense going to fare in the run-heavy, bust-you-up kind of approach that a lot of these Big Ten offenses take? How's that going to work? The reason why this is a valid question is the typical defenses you see are either a 4-3 or a 3-4 defense, which is a fancy way of addressing how many linebackers and how many defensive linemen you have on the field. Defensive linemen, linebackers, big human beings, right? In both the 4-3 and the 3-4, that means that they have 7 of those dudes on the field. Okay, whether it's 4 defensive linemen or 3 defensive linemen, depending on those two schemes, you have 7 on the field, all right? That's the math right there. In the 3-3-5 defense, that means we have 3 down linemen, 3 linebackers, and 5 defensive backs. So we go from having 7 big bodies on the field in the 4-3 or in the 3-4 defense to 6 big bodies on the field with the 3-3-5 defense. And so the question is, JD, we're putting less big bodies on the field. And the Big Ten is going to take their big bodies on offense and try and push us around. How is that going to be a good thing? How are we going to account for all this? Well, we're going to break it down here. But the question is valid. The concern is valid. I want to make sure we're all on the same page here, though, before we move forward addressing all this. Make sure you're subscribed right here. We talk college football every single day. It is May. You are watching a college football video. We're talking about college football. I promise you, we are both sickos for this sport, all right? We're both college football junkies. Come join the party. Make sure you're subscribed. We appreciate you for that. So breaking this down, the Big Ten, like I said, a bust-you-up kind of conference. Historically, Michigan, you saw what they did last year. Iowa, historically, a run-the-football kind of team. The old Wisconsin, Minnesota, like that's the approach in the Big Ten. We're going to line it up, try and move you against your will. So how does this 3-3-5 defense work? There's a couple of main goals with Tony White's defense, who's the defensive coordinator for Nebraska under Matt Rhule, just so we're all on the same page. Goal number 1, we are going to attack the offense with speed. Remember, we took some big bodies off the field. We took 1 big body off the field, but guess what? We put an extra fast guy on the field. We put 1 more safety on the field for us now. Okay, a little more speed. Get to be a little bit more nimble. And the thought behind the 3-3-5, I think the perception is it's kind of like a net. Okay, you got more guys that can spread out across the defense with this 3-3-5. I would say in reality, the goal is for it to be more of an attacking defense. It's more of a swarm than a net. Does that make sense? Because we have speed on the field. We may not be as big, on theory, at least on paper, but we can get to the ball a little bit quicker. We have a little bit more speed to attack you with. And that's the other side of this. They want to be confusing in the 3-3-5 defense. Because what running backs pre-snap and quarterbacks pre-snap, to try and figure out where a blitz is coming from, try and figure out where a pressure is coming from, pre-snap, you're looking at the safeties. And so you're putting 1 more safety on the field. We can be a little bit more creative. We can mix and match where we want to line up those 3 safeties. We can put 1 in the box and have 2 up high. We can put all 3 back. We can creep up towards line of scrimmage. Like there's a lot more creative liberty we can take now with more of this personnel on the field. So we can attack in more creative ways. We can be more confusing. We have more speed on the field. And this is why I think this has a really good chance to work. 1, it's worked before. I mean, Tony White, his track record speaks for itself. Last year, Syracuse was top 26 in terms of pass yards allowed per game and rush yards allowed per game. So there's a strong track record there. The other side of this is the defense itself. When you look at how it's supposed to work, you're not trying to play other teams in the Big Ten's kind of game. Like the way that I think about it, Michigan, if you were to put a style to how they play offensively and put like a fighting style to that, Michigan offensively wants to wrestle you. They are big. They are physical. They're back-to-back Big Ten champs. They got a Joe Moore award-winning offensive line. They want to lean on you and put you into submission with their size. Why would we try and wrestle the defending 2-time Big Ten champion when they wrestle? Why would we try and play their game? It doesn't make any sense. Instead, I see Nebraska now transitioning to more of a boxing approach, We're going to try and hit the knockout punch. We're going to try and, make you move around the ring. We're going to try and make you fight our style. How many of y'all know this? If a wrestler can't get his hands on the boxer and the boxer gets a few good jabs in and we're playing the boxing game now, hey, we feel a bit better about our odds. So I like Nebraska saying we're not going to try and beat you at your own game. That's banging our head against a wall. It makes no sense. We're going to try and play our game, try and be aggressive, play to our personnel, be more creative, catch you off balance. We're not going to try and wrestle you. We're going to try and knock you out. That's what Tony White's defense is supposed to do. So all that's nice. We can break it down as much as we want. We can give you the broad strokes of what it's supposed to do. But at the end of the day, the 3-3-5 defense is built on personnel, built on instinctual football. So you got to have guys that are, one, sure tacklers. When you get there, you can't miss that tackle. That goes without saying for any defense. The other part of this, you got to have good instincts. Because speed is only effective if it's going to the right place. Like if we go chasing after the fake jet sweep, but we get there really quickly, that's great that we got to the fake quickly, but the quarterback just pulled it and went around the outside. And now the speed is like, hey, speed in the wrong place. Palms up. That's what we're doing. Coach, I didn't know. I was faked out. I didn't know. So we got to still be fundamentally sound. So like anything, it still comes down to the Jimmies and the Joes, but I think that this scheme, I think what Tony White's bringing to Nebraska with this 3-3-5 approach, I like it. I like it a lot. So keep an eye on this. We'll break it down more as we get closer to the season. But last year, too, Nebraska allowing 190 yards a game rushing. It's time for a pivot. And Tony White's bringing that pivot along with Coach Rhule. Make sure you're subscribed right here. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on the gram. Listen, we appreciate y'all tuning in. We're going to keep talking ball every single day. We're going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.